You're listening to Talk Israel with Anya Farber, where we talk everything Israel. The art, the culture, the music, the food. Oh man, don't get me started on the food. So grab a plate of shakshuka, sit down and listen up. And now your host, Anya Farber.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk Israel at our new time, which is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today I am very excited because we are talking about music. And I love music. I do love music. And we are welcoming one of the most interesting people I have yet encountered through my tour of Israel's music, Mr. Or Gorgi, the man who really needs no introduction. Or Gorgi. Welcome.
Thank you. I really need no introduction because, when you introduce someone, you introduce them, and I need no introduction. Okay. Yeah, let's drop the heavy accent. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wait. Could you just go back for a second? Did you just that voice? It's so familiar. So for our listeners who are like, wait a minute. That accent and that voice sounds familiar. No, guys, it's not James Earl Jones. I know. Luke, it is your father. No, it's Or Gorgi. Or you were kind enough to record my introduction. So
Indeed.
That accent that we just heard for a second, that's really how you sound, huh? What's up with that?
No, that's the fake heavy Israeli accent that I can do. But it's not like how I normally talk. But if you want, we can do the rest of the interview like this, the more comically Israeli accent you can do when everything has that sound, When I talk to you like this is a very Israeli sounding voice. But I usually don't talk like that.
Yeah, we will definitely talk about your music, but now that people are getting a little glimpse into your personality, and boy, do you have a personality, I feel like we should talk about that first time that I met you when researching for my Do You See What I See project, and we were introduced by actually one of last week's guests, Ellie Bismuth, who is a producer, and I know that you have worked with Ellie on several occasions and performed with Ellie. Yeah, and we can we will definitely get into some of those songs because I know the listeners are going to want to hear them. But I was thinking that I feel like that story should kind of be told. So it was a day. I mean, that was one of these days. It was raining. Like, I don't know how you guys describe that kind of rain in Israel. I mean, they have all these weird, like, expressions and idioms in English, like, oh, it's raining cats and dogs. It wasn't even that. It was, like, raining up and down, sideways, diagonally. The wind was going, the thunder, the lightning.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, my God, I've never kind of been out in weather like this in that climate, and I had not experienced that part of, like, the winter that sometimes happens in Israel. And, we were...
Just very violent.
It was, thank you, it was violent rain. It was angry rain. And I remember, you call and you're like, we're looking for parking and it's pouring rain. I'm like, take your time. I have to change my clothes because I had gotten soaked just, like, walking I think from wherever I got off, like the bus or whatever, just to the hotel. And I want to officially thank the hotel for that. And we will definitely talk a little bit about that great hotel, when we have a minute. It was part of the Brown Hotels. They were very kind because they have a very cool lobby bar / hangout.
They gave us a cup of tea, which was so
needed.
Necessary. Yeah, it was so needed in that desperate situation, that violent rain. An umbrella can't really protect you with the rain coming at you sideways.
No, it would not have, and I didn't even have one. But it was fine because I think it would have done that whole no, and the umbrella turns out and everything.
Yeah. The umbrella turning into a ball. Yeah.
You walk in with Yam, who is another producer that you've worked with, and you start talking to me in this heavy Israeli accent. And we had really never met. We had talked briefly to set up the time to meet, and I had no idea, really that this is like all part of your funny personality, and that you love joking around and telling jokes, and you're talking to me.
Call it as it is. I like scheming.
Scheming, okay. Scheming. Okay. So as you're scheming away, and we're sitting down. I'm sure that my face, I don't have a great poker face. I think you must have started to feel bad because the look on my face was probably like, oh my God, I'm going to have to subtitle and then translate everything he's saying. Because people are going to be like, what? And then you just snapped back into you're like, oh yeah, I was just kidding. I don't really sound like that. You're like, unless of course you want me to do the whole interview like this. And I was like, no, it's probably better that people can.
Well, I still think it would have made for an authentic experience.
I mean, listen, if you want to, flip in and out of it while we're talking to our Talk Israel listeners, that is your prerogative, my friend. But I will say that if our listeners are not laughing during this broadcast, I would be concerned because I have a feeling you have got, jokes for days planned for this occasion.
Well, yeah, I mean, I might have a few things prepared, but yeah, I am going to wing it.
Okay. Well,
I am going to wing it, but it is what it is.
Okay. Well, speaking of winging it, I feel like you're definitely not winging it with your career, sir, because I know that, you didn't necessarily just start off, saying I am going to make a career of this. Am I correct in this? I mean, I know that you provided me with some info, and for the listeners, we do have a bio up there, and that you kind of started in 2016, and it was fun. It was something to do, a hobby, a way to spend time with friends. But in 2020, I don't know if you were just like, oh, I'm good at this, or wow, I really enjoy this. I mean, because you are very good, and I know that I enjoy, your music. But you really got serious, and I know that one of the wonderful things that I was very lucky when I was in Israel in December, and after we sat down for that chat, I don't remember if it was a couple days later, but Ellie had reached out to me and said, oh, well, there's a practice for one of the Bola performances that you guys were doing.
Yeah, we did a big show with a lot of other Israeli rappers, and you did join one of the rehearsals, which turned out as a pretty fine idea because it was a good experience.
Yeah, it was. It was awesome to hear you guys all live, and I was hoping you could talk a little bit about Bola, and just so our listeners know, they can log on to my social media. There is that clip. I don't know if you remember this, but I went live and then left it up because at one point you guys were all going through your songs, and I got so excited, and it was really cool to see you guys supporting each other. But can you tell our listeners here on CRS Radio, because we are the Knowledge Network on Talk Israel, our program, could you kind of explain what this Bola, what it is, and kind of what does that mean? What is this? You said all these other Israeli rappers, so could you talk to us about that a little bit?
Okay, so the Bola is this sort of communal initiative that we have in Israel. It's going down every Wednesday in this place, in this bar called the Lincoln 19 Street. It's on Lincoln 19 Street, and it's called Lincoln 19. And the Bola is this hip-hop line that a few of us started led by this guy named Soma, that you met him. He's a very nice person and a beautiful, beautiful man.
Oh, my God. I can't believe you're going there. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you for a minute.
Very handsome man.
Okay. I'm sorry, listeners. I don't mean to interrupt Or, but I have to. I need to say this for the record. I spoke to almost every rapper there that night, and they're all like, look at Soma. Look at him. He's beautiful.
Yes.
He is
Soma
such a good-looking man.
A good man it's
Soma, is he listening? Or is he listening? Because someone please call Soma and tell him, because his head is going to explode. Does he know that you guys all say this about? And hand to God, everyone, I would not lie to you. Every single one of them, they all say to me, did you see Soma? He is a beautiful man. I was like, oh, my God, do you guys all have a crush on him? And if you do, that's cool. But, like, damn, wow, you guys.
A few of us, okay, Soma included, we had this place, and we went there, and we rapped there, we freestyled, we practiced, like, already written or prepared material and stuff. But, eventually we understood that people, okay, rappers, young rappers, more experienced rappers, they need a place to go to vent. They need a place to go to practice. They need a place to go to socialize and meet other artists, whether it's musical producers or other rappers. So this Bola line, Bola meaning come to the, and every night there's a live show, there's a free live show, and another rapper is performing, and after this rapper's performance is done, after the show is done, and there's this open mic night until the very late hours of the night, and everyone who wants to come and spit on the mic, they can do it. Either it's verses or freestyles, and I've seen people who do this, who are in this business for years, like grabbing a microphone, and I've seen people which it was their first time on stage grabbing the microphone, and it's all such a community-like vibe with the way we push each other to be better, and everything is you don't feel people being competitive there, You want other people to go and do their best and become better from week to week, because the overall night, the overall experience, it's getting better for the whole of us. So this is a pretty nice initiative that I feel very proud to take a part of, And about you saying that I don't wing it with my music, you couldn't be more right, because I am dead serious when it comes to my career. And when I decided to take this thing to the next level, there's been no joking and no breaks and no shortcuts and no nothing. We can do stuff the funny way and have fun along the way, definitely. But I am dead serious about my work and about the things that I do and about my music and my whole creative process and stuff. So definitely accurate on that observation.
Well, I feel like that is the perfect way to transition into one of the songs that you've worked on in a very committed way, and it is my favorite song. But before we do that, I just wanted to say that it is a really nice thing to see this idea of community, and I wanted to kind of get your take on this because, after all, we are on CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network. So here at Talk Israel, we want to give you knowledge. So I think that this sense of community, and there's a misunderstanding, or people don't really know, or maybe because they haven't experienced Israelis, right? Now, Israelis, Israel is a very fast-paced situation, right? I mean, yeah. But there is this sense of community, and I've told the listeners before about, of the many times that I've done things or ended up oh gosh, I really need help. Before I can even think to ask for help, people offer me help. And I'm like, how did you They're like, oh, you just look like you need help. Are you lost? And they ask me in Hebrew. And then, of course, I'm trying to, like, decide, do I admit that I'm lost? Or the time where my cell phone died, like, do I admit that I'm so silly and, like, didn't think to plan ahead to, have a charger or a cord or anything? And then, when I'm not saying anything, they're like, and then they switch to English. Oh, do you need me to speak English? And I'm like, back in Hebrew, like, lo, ani lo tzichat. Is that like, okay, so what I just said for my other listeners, no, I don't need that. Realize that I have to admit, no, I do need help. But there is this supportive sense. I think that it's beautiful that it carries into the music industry, at least from what you're experiencing. But, do you have anything that you'd want to share about living in Israel and having lived in Israel,
Well, I was born in Israel. I've been living in Israel my entire life. And it's true what you say about the community here, because people in Israel, a lot of them have a very strong sense of community. Mm-hmm. And this sort of obligation to assist another person. Now, people here are fast-paced and pretty emotional, so people here tend to take things to heart, whether it's in a bad way or in a good way. It is very likely to offend someone here accidentally without even knowing it, and that situation escalating without you even understanding what's going on. But it is also very likely to encounter someone you don't know who wants to help you just because they can. There's a very strong sense of community, of helping each other for a greater cause. And this is something you can only get in a smaller country. And Israel is a smaller country, and you can sense it everywhere you go. You can see it. With everything we do, with our whole culture and technology and stuff, we are still a pretty young and inexperienced and small country. And people here need to stick together for this thing to work. And if they don't, then it's just not going to work. Israel is under constant threat. And we can't have troubles from within the house alongside troubles from outside.
Right.
So I think most people here get it.
Yeah, and Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, so you guys are surrounded by countries who are not super excited about you, and the only democracy, so, you can be upset with each other, and you can be upset with things, but without getting political, that I think that's the beautiful thing about Israel, and I kind of like, I think if someone wants to kind of get the whole feeling of that, all they have to do is watch the Israeli news, and it cracks me up because they're just talking over each other. And when I think I told you this,
people here, people don't know how to talk to each other.
No, but it's like there's no, here in the U.S. everyone's like, whether they're real polite or fake polite or whatever it is, like you don't have newscasters talking over each other. And when that happens during our political debates, people are like, oh my gosh, they're not following the rules. Oh my gosh, they're not, and I always think it's so funny because you're like, no. It's just whoever's the loudest wins, right? I mean, that's how it is in Israel, right? You just keep talking and talking.
Whoever is the loudest just
exactly.
wins instantly.
Exactly, but there still is, and it's not a sense of disrespect in the slightest. And I don't want people to be, misinformed with that. And I'm wondering, do you feel, as someone who's experienced this, because you obviously are finished with this part of your life, but Israel is a country that has mandatory service, not just for men. Lo rak gezer, gam isha. So not just the men, the women. And I think that might be a part of it, but I don't think it's everything. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, mandatory service in Israel, for those of the listeners who don't know, when you're 18 and you're done with high school, you are drafted into the Israeli army, and there are certain, I'd say, alternatives to military service in Israel. You can do like national service, in which you take part in other stuff that is not army related. Like, you volunteer in hospitals or other stuff, but this phase, this hurdle that every teenager in Israel, that every young person in Israel must go over, whether they are male or female, not it doesn't even matter where you're from in Israel. You can be from central Israel near Tel Aviv. You can be from like up north or down south, but you are doing this thing after your high school in which you take part in something bigger than yourself and you contribute to your country. And I think this is something that helps a lot of Israelis mature faster, you know, because you are maturing faster. If you are in the army, you are most likely about to hold a gun and be responsible to it, maybe even partake in military like activities that are dangerous, and you can't be a child around those places. You just can't. So the army does speed up the whole maturing process. And after you're done with your 3 years of service, if you're a man, or 2 years and 4 months if you're a woman, you are, you know, you're free to do whatever you want. You can go to the university, you can go on a trip, you can find a job, but you've just finished this very intense thing, this very intense program in which you are just one in 1,000 of other soldiers, and you are all operating to contribute to this thing that is larger than you are. Yeah. And it does help for this perception of you being a part of something bigger, because it's not just you. You're not living alone, doing whatever you want. You need to do this because you are legally obligated to do it. And everyone is. Yeah. Well, you know, most people.
Right. Obviously, if you can't serve for a specific, you know, physical or whatever reason, there are those other alternatives that you talked about. But there is this obligation of service of some sort, which I think is, I'm very envious of the structure. And I will say that, you know, for our listeners, if they're interested, you know, they can check out idf.org for Israeli Defense Force. They post a lot of great information. And, you know, there's a lot of very strong women who are serving, and we say the Israeli Army, but they also have all the different kinds of branches, much like if people are familiar with the, you know, the U.S. Army, you know, the Army, the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, the Air and Space Force. That's what's called now in the U.S., Air and Space Force. You know, but people are, you know, they are specializing, and, you know, you have the pilots, and you have all these, you know, all these other branches in the Navy, and yes, Israel has a Navy, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard it here first on Talk Israel on CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network. There are a lot of things, but I do think that kind of, it almost like on a, you know, on a smaller scale is how you guys interact at, you know, with the BOLA and everything. And I did go to that club, the Lincoln 19 Club, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is a big, large picture of Abraham Lincoln.
The place itself, I think it was funded by his relatives or something.
Oh, we'll have to check that out. Or if someone's wondering,
they can. The building itself has history, yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys want to know more about Lincoln 19 or the BOLA, or where can people reach you on your social media?
Well, the BOLA itself, the club, the hip-hop line itself has its own Instagram, so you can find it on BOLA 19 Rap. And, you know, you can find me on my Instagram, which is Or Gorgi, OR_GORGI.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, he is linked to my social media. So if you forget what he's saying, you can just go ahead and, you know, click on me and DM me, and I will absolutely direct you guys to him. So speaking of how we met, we met through Eli Bismuth, who was one of the first people in the music industry that I met when I started doing all my research. And I thought, it's interesting because you brought this up, Or. You are a very small country. Israel is a very small country, geographically speaking. There is so much diversity, though, within the country of Israel, and I think that is one of the things that also is influencing the music. And you know,
definitely.
To just kind of, before, you know, as we introduce this song between you and Eli, and, you know, you and Eli come from different backgrounds, and you are living, while you're both living in what's considered central Israel. Eli is in Jerusalem, and you are in, are we saying where we live? Oh yeah, we are saying where we live. It's there. You're in Petah Tikva, which is, closer to Tel Aviv than to Jerusalem, but still in central Israel. So, and Israel within itself has all these different identities. The north is so different from the south, which is still different from the central area, and Jerusalem is different from Tel Aviv, and there's so much diversity within, and geographically too. There's there's mountains and there's hills and then there's incredibly flat area, and the south is so much.
To give it up to Israel for cramming a lot of different.
There we go. Golf clap for Israel. What'd you say? Cramming. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Cramming.
We have desert, we have snowy mountains, we have a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff in a very, very small space. Like Israel itself, the entire country is smaller than most US states,
That is true. So, that is true. It is bigger than Rhode Island.
Well, props for us.
Yes. Kudos again. There is
How
something.
How do you like us now? How do you like them apples, Rhode Island?
Oh, excuse me. Or look at you with all of this English slang. How do you like them apples? All right. Yeah, you guys heard it here first on Talk Israel on CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network. We're about to drop some knowledge on our listeners. I'm going to play them this song that you and Ellie have, and what I think. Okay, it's my favorite song for a multitude of reasons. I just love how you are just everything that you're saying and how you're saying it. And then Ellie comes in and, you're rapping and he starts to sing. So in addition to being a producer, he also sings. And it just happens to be my favorite song. And I remember saying to you when I was, getting ready to talk to you for this, I said, it's my favorite song. I just love the chorus that Ellie sings. And you said...
Thank you, I wrote it.
Yeah, you go, well, it's good to know because I wrote it. I was like, okay, modest much? All right. So on that note, I want them to hear it, and then maybe you could explain a little bit. Would you like to explain before or after? How would you feel it's better for the listeners to hear the song?
Let's listen
after?
to the song.
All right, here we go. So we're gonna let everybody hear this.
זה הגיל הכי שמח שיהיה לי, העתיד הוא כאב ראש שמחכה לי. נאחז ברעיון שנהפך לזיכרון של מה זה חופש אמיתי, וזה נראה לי שכבר אי אפשר לחזור אל הימים של פעם. חוסר דאגות הפך מהר לחוסר טעם, קרא לאיזה קסם של תקופה או אשליה יפה, טיפשות שמביאה איתה ברכה והעולם בדיחה. רק עוד שחטה האחרונה, רק עוד 2 דקות, הם לא רוצים להתעורר, הם רוצים לחיות. רק עוד רגע אחרון, רק עוד טעימה, רק עוד כוס, רק עוד שוט, רק עוד לגימה.
כשהשמש יורדת הם מתחילים לצאת, אורות מסנוורים רוקדים למעלה, רוצים עוד רגע של עושה, עוד רגע לחייך, כולם רואים שהם חיות של לילה. כשהשמש יורדת הם מתחילים לצאת, אורות מסנוורים רוקדים למעלה, רוצים עוד רגע של אושר, עוד רגע לחייך, כולם רואים שהם חיות של לילה.
אבל עדיין אף אחד לא מחייך, בסוף היום כולנו מחפשים להשתייך. ואיך זה מתהפך כשכל המוח מתלכלך, ופתאום אתה לא זוכר בכלל לאן אתה הולך. אומרים שהבנות הכי יפות תמיד הכי לבד, ושכולנו רק קופים שמתעטפים בבד, בתוך ענן שמטשטש חושים מרגיש נחמד, וכמה מפתה לזרוק את העולם לצד. מחפשים מפלט, מחפשים לברוח, מחפשים לצאת, עולם שלם של הסחות לדעת, מכורים לחטא. ואם לא בא לך להרגיש אל תחשבי בכלל, לא להיות כבד הפך פתאום למה זה קל. אז נאבד את הראש הלילה ותראי שהאורות למעלה מבטיחים שתנצחי, אופוריה מרימה אותך רק עד שתצנחי, הרגע הוא עכשיו אבל הלילה הוא נצחי, אז אל תדאגי.
כשהשמש יורדת הם מתחילים לצאת, אורות מסנוורים רוקדים למעלה, רוצים עוד רגע של אושר, עוד רגע לחייך, כולם רואים שהם חיות של לילה.
רק רק עוד שחטה אחרונה, רק עוד 2 דקות. הם לא רוצים להתעורר, הם רוצים לחיות. רק עוד רגע אחרון, רק עוד טעימה, רק עוד כוס, רק עוד שוט, רק עוד לגימה. רק עוד רגע אחרון, עוד שנייה אחת. אל תיקח מהם את זה, רק תיתן עוד קצת. הם לא רוצים לגדול, לא רוצים למות, כי כשהבוקר יעלה הם יחזרו למציאות.
Okay, guys. So I have to confess something, and to my listeners, I'm sitting here jamming out, mouthing the words only to the chorus. I'm not going to lie to my listeners. I am not at a place where I could do your part. I don't know that rapping is a skill that I possess. But I definitely was singing, though, at the end where it starts to, like, amp back up. Well, that part of yours I do know, and I might have just been mouthing those words, too. Careful, or I'm coming to the stage.
I am glad that you like the song. I really am.
Well, I definitely like the song. Could you help our listeners, as we are on the Knowledge Network of CRS Radio here on Talk Israel? We don't just want to bring something cool to people. We want to, make sure that they understand it. So if you were going to give a summary of, like, with a translation of this song, or, what it's about. I mean, I think that people can feel it, as it's like, it's amping up and then it's down and then it's up and it's just, how would you talk about this song?
This song is called Hayot Shel Laila, which translates to Creatures of the Night.
Ooh.
It has a video clip on YouTube you can watch, and a very good one. And the song talks about, if I may say so myself, it talks about this phenomenon amongst people, that people are willing to do whatever is necessary to escape their mental troubles. People are willing to do whatever is necessary to feel better, even if it comes at the price of not actually fixing anything about their life, just feeling better momentarily. So in that way, that carries us over to the whole Creatures of the Night concept, because those people who are willing to do whatever just to feel better for this glimpse of a moment, for this short moment, those people are creatures of the night, because they go out at night and they search for a way to feel better without actually solving the problem, without facing their problems, because that takes courage and that takes time and that takes effort, and that is a very, very not pleasant, experience to go through, facing your own demons, you can say. But if you are trying to find a quick, let's say, relief, a quick, satisfaction for feeling better at the moment, okay, then this escapism sort of thing, it's very tempting for you. And you are trying to lose yourself in that moment, in that experience, in that night, and in whatever distractions it offers you, So the song talks about that, about people wanting to lose themselves in the night and whatever it offers them, but they want to lose themselves knowing that it solves nothing. It's a band-aid, but it's not really helping the wound. You know what I mean? And
wow, that was a lot deeper than I was expecting there. So I hope that, this idea of this. I told you I'm serious about this. I know. I think our listeners are well aware of this now. So I have a very big compliment for you. I was just messaged by my father, And my father is very good. He always supports, and listens to the show. But my father said that he's like, while I see that you're mouthing the words, not that he can actually see me, he goes, he's like, we are too. It's kind of catchy. We're into it. We're into it. So, you're appealing to multi-generations here, Or, and I kind of, I think it is that kind of thing that it gets in your head. And maybe it is part of the idea of that, sometimes we do want to just escape from our own realities, even when it's not going to solve problems, because everyone kind of needs that as a coping mechanism.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So,
definitely. Yeah.
And I, your music is your music touches a lot of different areas of. I'm trying to really, I listen. You're putting the pressure on me here, Or, because you are, as you keep saying, if you don't say so yourself, really killing it, because you are serious and bringing it. So, feel free
Thank
to.
you.
Well, you're very welcome, sir. Feel free to jump in and correct me if I misspeak, but I feel like you don't shy away from topics. Sometimes your songs are just fun, and sometimes your songs are about like, yeah, I killed it, and yeah, I really, I don't want to. The last song is a very important song, so I don't want to drop any information about that, but I want the listeners to. We're saving that for the end. We're finishing strong, ladies and gentlemen. But I feel like you've touched upon some things in your music that people might be surprised at, or think we're like, wow, that was, excuse me for saying this, but ballsy, because I know that we will play some of these songs, but you've done songs about a wide variety of topics, like including suicide, domestic violence, just being victorious over something, this idea of escapism. You're all over the place, but yet your music is very cohesive. And this song, along with, I believe, almost every other song we're going to play today here on Talk Israel on CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network, are all on your first album, Momentum.
Yes.
Why did you title it Momentum?
So my album, Momentum, and it's going to touch upon the thing you said about me being diverse and talking about multiple subjects. The album is called Momentum, and it's actually split into two sides. Side A, produced by Yom Amitai, which has this theme of movement, of motivation, of energy, of achieving your goals. Mm-hmm. And side B of the album, which is produced by Eli Bismuth, which is more characterized as talking about the things that hold us back. The things along the way that hold us back from achieving our goals, from achieving our maximum potential, that are blocking our movement, figuratively speaking. And those things are things within ourselves or things outside, like in our society, that are holding us back from doing the movement of side A and achieving our goals. And the album is called Momentum because momentum is an energy that is generated by movement. And the album is called Momentum because the entire story of the album, the entire thing, the entire theme of the album is movement, is achieving movement, is reaching your goals. And it's movement inside A and things that are slowing you down, things that are blocking your movement, whether they are internal or external, on side B. And the entire album is Momentum because you are trying to generate, we are all trying to generate momentum and achieve our goals. And we don't want the things from side B to slow us down, hold us back, or stop us from achieving those goals.
But yet
they are challenges. Yes, they are challenges worth talking about.
Right, because if you don't acknowledge them, you can't face them. Right.
if you don't acknowledge them, that's the entire point of the song Creatures of the Night, which we just played.
Yeah.
Because you do want to acknowledge those obstacles. You do want to acknowledge those things that are slowing you down.
Right.
By not acknowledging them, you are not overcoming them. But by acknowledging them, you are prone to a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
You are prone to a lot of adversity. You are prone to a lot of hardship. And that is not easy either. So you have this energy within you. You have this will to move forward and to get whatever it is you want, to achieve your goals. But you also have, on side B of the album, I shared my personal, obstacles, the things that I feel are slowing me down from achieving my. And on side A, I explore this will, this energy that I feel within myself that drives me forward, that drives me to achieve whatever goals I set for myself. And the entire conflict of the album, the entire reason I chose to go with the whole side A and side B idea is that those two are clashing with each other, but they are still existing in their own way. You have those obstacles, and that does not contradict the fact that you have that drive to achieve your goal. And the fact that things are slowing you down doesn't change the fact that you are willing to overcome them, even though it's tough. Yeah. And I chose to go with different musical producers for each side because each side has its own unique sound.
Yes. Yes.
The sound we chose to go with on side A, the sound Yama Mitai has on his songs, and we are going to listen to a couple of those. And it's more energetic. It has power in it. You hear the song, you can hear the energy, you can hear the rhythm, and they are fast-paced, and they talk about topics of motivation and movement. The songs on side B, produced by Eli Bismuth, they are more spiritual. Yeah. They are slower, and they are, you can say, it's packed with more emotion. And I wanted to give as clear a picture as I can give of myself. Because as people, we are not just funny. We are not just sad. We are not just very much into our thing. No, we are more complex than that. And as a person, I feel that I wanted to give out as many sides of myself, as many shades of myself, many aspects of myself, aspects that I truly believe all of us have, And I couldn't give it out without this diversity. Because if I chose to do only sad songs, then people would think, oh, that's a sad dude. But I'm not a sad guy, Not all of the time. But I can't always do this, in your face, I'm the best kind of rap, because that's not all I am.
Right.
That's not all I think. That's not all I believe. I do have moments of self-doubt. I do have moments of adversity. I do have my own personal, emotional struggles that I go with.
Right.
And not talking about that stuff, not only does it not help me get over it, it's presenting me as this one-dimensional person.
Well, you're definitely not one-dimensional, and you guys have heard it here first. Or is indeed human. He is acknowledging that he has all these different sides and all these different emotions. I was thinking when our listeners had Eli last week and they learned a little from him, he talked about, being in Jerusalem. And there's this, again, even within this very small geographic country, the people and the feeling and everything about these different areas it's almost like the air is different, the feeling is different, the way people are living is so different. And I'm wondering is that Eli being in Jerusalem, and that spiritual part of it was probably a perfect match. I mean, I know that you and Eli are very close, and you and Yam are very close, and I think that's what, because all of you are pretty genuine people, which is why I think your music, all of the music that all of you are working on together is coming across so well. but it's almost perfect that you went with that spiritual part with Ellie, because I do believe there is something to that whole, the air in Jerusalem really making people more in touch with their emotions. And that's what I've heard from other artists too in Israel.
People from Jerusalem and the artists from Jerusalem that I know and rappers from Jerusalem that I know, they are connected with this cosmic energy in a way that you can't really get, in a way that you can't really explain. They are very spiritual people, and they have this vibe to them. They just, they deal with a whole different kind of truth, you know, in the world. And it's very inspiring to see. And you can feel that on Ellie's productions. But on the other hand, on Yam's productions, Yam is a rapper, and he does this rapping style called grime.
Right.
And grime went worldwide from the UK, and there are people doing grime all across the world. And you can really feel on Yam's productions that he's doing something that is very modern.
You know,
he's doing this thing.
That's a good
He's
intro.
doing this thing that is, it's global, you know?
You know, or I know that music is going to work for you, but you're almost very good at transitioning, because I was actually going to try and say to people, you know, we should listen to this other song that you did with Yam, but you're kind of like doing it for me. So thank you on that. But I do want to point one more thing out, because we did talk to Ellie about that, and I know that other musicians, and last week again we had Ellie and Moria, who you've worked with Moria, and there's a song on your album with Moria on the B side, which is the emotional side, which we will have the listeners hear later too. But I'm wondering if, like, I want everyone to know that that's just something so, and I think that was a lot of, there's a lot of, what did you say? You're very deliberate, and you're no joke or very serious about your music. And I think that's clear in the fact that you have chosen, which may not be as well known of a practice or as common of a practice, to work on one album with two distinct producers, but you have 10 songs. It's a large album. And you literally split it 5 and 5. And I think that's really great. And people can, you know, get all your music. If people are hearing some of these songs, or, well, I mean, obviously they're going to want to, because they are hearing them here. But when they're hearing them here, where could they find them on the streaming services?
Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal. You can find me on YouTube. Wherever music streams, you can find my music. And I think, we are going to listen to some songs here from the album, but if you truly want the full experience, in my humble opinion, you need to listen to the whole thing, like start to finish, you know, because there's a journey going on, you know?
So to listen to the whole album.
Yeah, start to finish. But let's go with the next song.
Okay.
So you wanted to transition to what? To the
we're gonna have we're gonna have the song of you and Yam, and to translate the title for people would be like Fuel and Go.
Yes.
Okay, so I almost don't want to say anything too much. Let's just go ahead and hear this song.
Nice.
איך עושים את זה?
יש אנשים שמחפשים להתמקם, אני אף פעם לא אהיה אחד מהם. אין לי שגרה, אין לי גבולות, אין לי תקרה, אין לי לוז, אני עצרתי לתדלק ולזוז. אז תבינו, כי יש אנשים שמחפשים לעצור, אני רוצה רק להמשיך ולחפור. אין לי תוכנית, אין לי זמן, אין לי ברקס, אין ריכוז, עצרתי לתדלק ולזוז. הם אומרים אולי תעט, יאו, מגדל שלא יציב סופו להתמוטט, וואו. אבל אני לא מחכה עוד דקה, אני יודע מה שלי ואני לא רוצה לחרטט, בואו נעצור ונירגע לשנייה, אולי בדרך שלי פספסתי פנייה, אבל עכשיו הגעתי עם הרעש לשכנים שלך כאילו הם גרים ליד אתר בנייה. נו אז מה נהיה? את מי צריך לחטוף לפרסום? אל תאמרו שלא למדתי כלום. שיפרתי את הרמה שלי כשחצי מדינה ישבו בבית ושיפרו את המסך בזום, אז אני טס בבום, תעשה לי סאונד צ'ק ובום, אני עדיין בלי חוזה חתום. יש כאלה שחושבים איך לכבוש את המדינה, אני רוצה לקנות את היקום, אז קום ותפנה את הכיסא, מנסה לא להתעסק כמה שהרב שלי מכסח. יש לי מילים מקצה לקצה, מה הפלא שכמו ילד יחיד אני רוצח, אז שהטוב ינצח והפחות יפרגן, אני לא משהו בלהתבכיין, כי מי שלא עושה על מנת לשפר אין לו זכות בכלל להתלונן. יש אנשים שמחפשים להתמקם, אני אף פעם לא אהיה אחד מהם. אין לי שגרה, אין לי גבולות, אין לי תקרה, אין לי לוז, אני עצרתי לתדלק ולזוז. אז תבינו כי יש אנשים שמחפשים לעצור, אני רוצה רק להמשיך ולחפור. אין לי תוכנית, אין לי זמן, אין לי ברקס, אין ריכוז. אני עצרתי לתדלק ולזוז, אני צועק לך בוז. וכל פעם שאתה עוצר על הכביש של עשה כבר יש פקק, מיניבן טריילר, יאללה תקראו לי היידר. בוא נמפק, לא מורידים לי את הפיידר. לא משחק, בוא לא נשחק סתום, פה נמאס ופה נשחק ובום, אתה כבר כלום. אחי לאן נעלמו השנים, רק תדלקת ולא נסעת אף פעם. אף פעם לא מחפף על המייק, גם שקשה עושה כיף על המייק. מביא עוד ביט, דופק עוד ורס, PLF על המייק. אין לחכות, תשיג זה לבד או שאין לך מה לצפות. כל אחד צריך לנהוג בעצמו וביחד וואלה יוצרים אגדות. יש אנשים שמחפשים להתמקם, אני אף פעם לא אהיה אחד מהם. אין לי שגרה, אין לי גבולות, אין לי תקרה, אין לי לוז, אני עצרתי לתדלק ולזוז. אז תבינו כי יש אנשים שמחפשים לעצור, אני רוצה רק להמשיך ולחפור. אין לי תוכנית, אין לי זמן, אין לי ברקס, אין ריכוז, עצרתי לתדלק ולזוז. אז סיימת לדבר כבר יופי, אל תטרח לענות, כי אני עובד על לבנות קריירה, אבל היי, לפחות אני מנסה לבנות את הפרויקט תמה, בונה על מה שכבר בנוי והמסלול של החיים שלך ממש צפוי. תן לי 20 אנשים נורמטיביים, אני אוותר עליהם בשביל אחד פחות שפוי. זה הזמן, אז לאן מכאן, יאללה בלגן. גם ככה אני לא נרדם, על אוטומט קיבינימט, על ביט ומלל אני שט, מוציא מילים עד שהמיקרופון מוציא עשן. לעצור זה אוברייטד, תן לי רגע, תן לי שקט ותראה איך שהשיט הזה יוצא טבעי. האלתור שלי יותר חזק ממה שהם כותבים, אז בוא תגיד לי, יש להם סיכוי מולי? זה לא משחק של יכולות, זה הימורים ומזל, יש בוקרים לא מרשימים בכלל, אבל יש לי מקום ריק בין הכוכבים, נשמה, בגלל זה קוראים לזה חלל. אז תישאר אומלל ותמשיך להאמין שאתה לא מתאים, אבל אני התחלתי לשחק, אני לא מפסיק לזוז, ואם ראית אותי זה רק כי עצרתי לתדלק.
So I'm guessing that everyone started to kind of like bounce around in their chairs a little bit more, and I'm feeling like that would be a great pump-up song for the gym. Like,
definitely. That's the vibe.
I kind of like, I was like, I kind of wanted to stand up and, I don't know, like go run out and do something. I felt fueled and I could go. So could you give us the actual title in Hebrew? I gave the translation before we gave the Hebrew title. I apologize there.
Yeah, so the title in Hebrew is Letadlek Velazuz, which means fuel and go. Mm-hmm. The song itself is song number 2 on the album, and I feel this is one of those songs that really captures an essence, you know? Mm-hmm. And this song really, truly captures the essence of side A of the album. And it has Yam Amitai rapping there, the guy who produced side A of Momentum, and doing just a terrific job as a rapper as well as a producer.
But not as good about faking an accent.
Oh, no, my accent is... truly, my accent is just... It's as good as the shakshuka when you eat, and you have just tchina all over it. And the whole point of the song, it uses this metaphor of stopping only to refuel and then keep going, you know, and never truly stopping, never truly pausing, never taking an actual break and stopping whatever you're doing. The closest thing to a break you can take in this mindset is to fuel and go.
To stop to fuel, right? Because you need to fuel to keep going.
I only stop to fuel. That's the entire theme of this song is I just stop to fuel and I'm gone. You know, it's not like I'm stopping. It's not like I'm like rethinking my steps or just stopping for the sake of stopping. No. If I stop, it's the fuel and go. There's never truly a pause. There's never truly a stop to this journey. And that's the mindset of this song, this energy, this perpetual motion forward towards your goals without ever stopping. And the closest thing someone can see you doing, the closest thing to stopping is stopping. It's to fuel and go. Your car is never standing, you know?
Right. You know, I want to put you on the spot here, Or, for just a second, because when we first met, we ended up getting very sidetracked and talking about food. And I thought to myself, I would like to put you on the spot and say, when I'm in Israel this summer, I would like to just have this song on, blasting in the car. And can we do like a food journey together? Because you and I are both foodies like nobody's business. Hence why you were kind enough to do my introduction talking about shakshuka. And anyone who follows me on social media knows I am obsessed with making shakshuka. Like almost every week I make it a little differently. You know, sometimes spicier than others. But I'm thinking, how awesome would this be to have this? I mean, I could see people putting this up. So listeners here on CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network, Talk Israel is putting you all, I'm calling everybody out. I want people to have this song blasting and show us pictures of your favorite foods that you use to fuel your body, because you do have to take care of your body and your mind to keep going, which is like the beauty of the two sides of your album, talking about you have to acknowledge things to be able to keep going. But this song, which is like, yeah, let's get up and go, but you have to, you know, you got to fuel. So I'm thinking like we should have people going out there and fueling their bodies with their favorite foods.
Yes.
And tagging the hell out of us on this and showing us what is your favorite way to fuel and go.
Yes, definitely. Do it for the food. Do it for the food, people.
I mean,
food is the best. It's one letter away from being just good, you know? You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with food, man.
Literally in the alphabet, EFG, FG, but also just you put that letter out and it's good. So, okay, Or, because we are now talking about food and you and I both can get very easily sidetracked by food, but I want to acknowledge it so we can move on. Like, what would be your favorite dish that you can really kind of only get in Israel? Or talk to me about something that's a dish that maybe people know about in other places or from somewhere else, but Israel has put its own spin on it.
Okay, so this is a difficult question because we have a lot of very good food here in Israel.
Oh, I know. I like to eat my way through Israel.
We have just top shelf food, you know. Everything here is just great. And it's hard to say something that is specific, but I can say this. Every time I've tried shawarma in a different country, it sucked.
Wow, just don't hold back there, Or.
It just sucked in comparison to what we got here. You know, now, unless you're in Turkey, which the Turkish people do like the best shawarma in the world, unless you're there, you should come here and try our shawarma, because I'm telling you, I've been around, okay? I've been around, and every time, a lot of places in Europe, they sell shawarma, and every shawarma I tasted,
they're like, why am I eating this?
It's just a joke, okay? So, I am telling you, I am putting my reputation on the line. Israel,
you heard it here first, everybody.
Israel has better shawarma than almost any other place in the world, okay?
Okay, so can you explain what shawarma is to people who may not know?
It's hard to explain, mostly because I don't think I have the vocabulary for that.
Okay.
Shawarma is...
I can help you.
It's sliced, sort of, it's not really minced, but it's sliced, very thin sliced meat. It can be either, it can be beef, it can be chicken,
or lamb
it can
sometimes.
be turkey,
Yep.
it can be lamb,
Mhm.
and it's sliced in a way that gives it a very unique texture and flavor.
Yes, and it's
Because-
also like it's like roasted around. It's
Yes,
like cooking and cooking, and so there's that. But I'm glad that you pointed out it's not just how it's cooked; it's like how it's kind of prepared to be served.
Yeah. When I was 16, I used to be the guy that cuts shawarma. When I was 16, that was my job during high school. So
Okay.
they give you this small buzz saw and this big ass knife, and you have this gigantic, just stacks of meat stacked on each other on a pike that's spinning around in this giant oven, and you slice it like lost the word there, up to down, okay?
Yeah, yeah. So here's
you slice
your
it-
hand motion is moving up and down. Yep.
Yeah. So you go up and down with the saw, and then you have slices, very small slices that fit inside of a pita bread or a loaf of bread or a baguette, and it's just the best. I'm telling you, this is something unique. This is something special. You don't see a lot of those like in other countries, and if you are in Israel and you're a meat lover, this is definitely an authentic experience you want to enjoy.
And,
okay?
And it's not just the meat in itself, it's all the accoutrements that go along with it. Like you said, there's a lot of different ways to eat it, pita, laffa, baguette, whatever, but there's all these different vegetables and sauces and, the ways in
Israel
which...
is all in. Let me tell you this. Israel is all in on sauces. I've recently been to Europe, and when you go to Europe and you take something to eat, they give you 2 packets of like ketchup, and if you ask for more, it's extra pay. In Israel, if you ask for more, they give you a handful. Just take it.
Yeah, they're like, you need the sauce. They want you dripping in sauce. They're
everything has sauce here. Everything has a side dish.
Yeah,
Everything.
I'm thinking to myself that when my son goes, because he's a big sauce on the side kind of person, he's gonna be like, they're gonna look at him like he's got 3 heads. And it's really funny because, I think, the nice thing about shawarma too is it's an accessible thing. It's almost like a street food. You can get it in a restaurant or kind of like on these like, things. And it's one of those great things that's available late at night too, because that sure does soak up, a late night out. But
definitely. It's also cheap. $10.
Oh my God, I just said like 10. Yes, it is, and it's relatively expensive, and it's something that you could like walk and eat because it's like a handheld, sandwich. And I agree with you 100%. I do eat a ton of shawarma because sometimes when I'm in Israel and I'm working so late, by the time I look up and realize it's like, oh, okay. And I think the last trip, I think that I had shawarma like 3 or 4 nights in a row. And I think I had chicken every time just because I was like, the chicken's good. I'll go with the chicken. Like I wasn't ready to branch out. Yeah, but I want to kind of, I'm just thinking, or I would really love to do this. So again, I'm putting this out here on Talk Israel on the CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network. I am tasking people with, I want you to go out and take a shot of what you're eating or where you're eating. Feel free to shout out your favorite, local eatery. Doesn't have to be in Israel, and tell us how you're fueling and going. And I would love to see them. So please tag me at think underscore differently Anya. Oh my gosh, Anya underscore think underscore differently is my Instagram. You can find me at Talk Israel. You can tag Or and I will definitely share them if you forget to tag one of us. But I'm also thinking, or as we're doing this, driving around in the car, blasting the song, I would love to kind of have this on. We would probably have to do it a little softer, but I mean, I love all the shuks in Israel because you can get everything and anything in these open air markets. But the one in Israel is still my favorite because I have to go and get figs because the fruits and vegetables and everything is so incredibly fresh in Israel. And the bread is baked fresh. And even though I eat a ton of things that, one shouldn't because they're not the healthiest, like the bakery, all the rugla and the babka and stuff, I still don't get, it doesn't get to me because it's so fresh. But I would love to kind of have that song on and walk through the shuk because, we could get fresh juice. We could pick up some fruits and veggies. We could pick up some baked goods. We could stop and have a beer. We could then go to the Halva King, and then we can go and buy, all sorts of stuff, and then we can head back around, and do desserts.
Sounds like a tool to me.
I mean, I'm thinking right here and right now with our listeners, we are going to have. If you guys are interested, hit us up, or I'm going to put you on the spot again. Would you be willing to commit to this summer if any of our listeners want to join us in Israel, because I will be there this summer, that we will do an official walk through of the Shuk in Jerusalem playing the Fuel and Go song, and we can just, eat our way through. Yeah. Is this something I can get you to go ahead and say absolutely to?
This sounds awesome.
Okay. Perfect. Nothing like a good old amount of pressure on someone to get them to say yes. But
definitely.
So, I mean, I'm just thinking that's just such a great idea. So let's go ahead and do it. But I think there's so many things to say about Israel, and like you said, there's almost like the extreme. And I feel like food is another one of those things. Like I feel like Israel takes certain items and takes them to a whole other level. I stopped in a restaurant in Ashdod, and this apparently, I mean, unbeknownst to me, I just kind of was like, I need to eat, and this place is close to the hotel that I was at. I was there for a night working on a project, and Ashdod is beautiful. It's a coastal area in central Israel. It is just south of Tel Aviv, correct? Or am I? But in this place is called Pescado. And I went in, and I'm like looking at the menu, and of course they do have menus in English too. And I'm looking around, and everyone's eating these extravagant looking things, and I was like, well, I'm not really, really hungry, so I thought I'll just get 2 small appetizers. And I asked the bartender I was staying at the bar, are 2 like appetizers that going to be good? He's like, oh yeah. Now, I wasn't thinking, and I don't know how to describe this accurately to the listeners, but in a lot of restaurants, when you sit down in Israel, automatically stuff comes to the table, and if you weren't used to it, you'd be like, oh, I didn't order this, but these little like little salad type things come out. There's often like cucumbers or an Israeli salad, hummus. Trying to think of what else like sometimes just comes out, and you're like, oh, whoa, okay, great. So I'm already munching on something with some fresh bread, and then they brought out a ceviche. Yeah, it's just great, and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then I had ordered a sort of ceviche, but this was a kosher place, so there's no shellfish. And I think when a lot of people think of ceviche, they think of shrimp or shrimp and scallops, and I'm trying to think of what else might be in there, like from Spain or something. But this was all like white fish, white types of fish, and I don't know the names, because different kinds of fish, which are similar in taste and texture, don't live in every single region. But it was absolutely gorgeous to look at, and the taste was so beyond out of this world that I actually, I said to him, I'm like, excuse me, I'm so sorry, but I'm here doing this project, and do you mind if I take pictures? Because this was just amazing. And of course they're like, why are you even asking? Just do it. Like that's the Israeli mentality. You just do. You don't have to ask. And the chef came out, and we started speaking, and it turned out like he had just gotten back from some sort of like international competition. 50 restaurants in the world were chosen, and he came in the top half of the top 50 restaurants in the world. And you would never like know this place if you didn't go to Ashdod. Like, have you heard of Pescado?
Yes, I have
Okay.
heard of the Cheder. It's a known one if you are into restaurants.
Yeah.
But Ashdod generally is not very tourist heavy. You know, people
Right.
who come to Israel, they usually go like to Tel Aviv or to Jerusalem, or maybe they visit the north or Eilat. But Ashdod doesn't get the enough love, you know, on the tourist front.
Right. I
And
mean,
you can very easily miss out on restaurants like that because Ashdod is southern than Tel Aviv. It's on the coast of Israel, and you can very easily miss it.
yeah,
And,
it's a large port city, which is another thing that people may not know. Israel has several ports, but Ashdod and Haifa are the two main ones. Obviously, Tel Aviv has a port, and Eilat, and everything else. But Ashdod, it's like I did not realize until I was there how large the port was. But I mean, part of me wants to tell everyone about Ashdod, and part of me doesn't really because I like that it's not full of a lot of tourists. So when I go, it's really nice. It has all of the beauty of the beaches of, you know, people think of Tel Aviv, and Tel Aviv does a wonderful job, the city of Tel Aviv, who's ever in charge of that, of promoting their beaches. Good job, whoever is in charge of that. But I'm going to go ahead and throw down and say that I had just equally as beautiful a time at the beach in Ashdod.
Definitely. It's a growing city the last years, and it's getting more and more like appreciation, and it's good to see that.
Yeah.
It's good to see that.
I mean, man, if I had some money, I'd invest it in Ashdod since it's growing so. But, you know, I know that we talked about places and a few things, and before we talk about anything else, I know that, you know, you talked about growing up in Central Israel and Petah Tikva, but I know that you happen to not be at home now, and you were kind enough to you know, call into the show because we mentioned it, the beautiful city of Eilat.
Yes, I am in Eilat currently, the
southernmost
point in Israel.
It is the most southern tip of Israel. Yes, and Eilat is known for the water. Snorkeling is very, very popular in Eilat. So if you are going to do that, please enjoy. People from Eilat, you can also it's like a hop, skip, and a jump to some other countries, and some other countries that now, you know, over the history have not always had open borders, but from Eilat you can now go ahead and just hop over the border and visit a whole other country, which is kind of cool. And then, of course, my favorite thing to do in Eilat is to go to the Eilat Stone Factory. But, you know, I think most of my listeners know this, and anyone who follows me on social media, I am all about Israeli silver. And I wear a lot of it. And since you've met me in person, you could attest to that. You know, I'm personally trying to bring the thumb ring look back, doing it. But currently I have on just two items from the Eilat Stone Factory. You know, I mean, I'd be more than happy if they want to just send me stuff, but I don't know that that's how it works. But I do like it because Eilat Stone is such a unique and beautiful stone that you can't find anywhere else in the world. And I think that that's so cool. So if you have time, you should go check it out. So I wanted to see if, you know, we've been in, you know, escapism. We've fueled and gone with you. But if I'm looking at the other side of the album to transition back to some of those things that we need, you know, I'm just thinking maybe what we should do is have our listeners hear the song that you did with Moria, because they did meet her last week. But again, I don't want to give anything away about the song. I want to go ahead and put it on for everyone, and then, you know, we can talk about it. But I think that you're going to hear, again, like you said, this spiritual thing. Now, again, another compliment coming your way, courtesy of Mr. Mark Farber, my father. I'm going to say his full name today on the show. And he actually had a question for you. So my dad is now the king of texting, okay? And so I want to read this to you, Or, because I don't want to mess up his question. So he asked if you knew if there was a musician or a person out there who feels that there is the Kabbalistic influence of, the idea of, Tzfat, a very small city in Israel, is known as the city of mysticism, and Kabbalah, and many people study Kabbalah, and just, these ideas of mysticism and this, deep thought and things like that. So he wanted to know if you had any knowledge of that kind of an influence. And if the answer is no, you can go ahead and say no. Don't feel like you have to come up with something. Mark can wait.
Well, me personally, I have actually had the pleasure of meeting a lot of rappers that are influenced by Judaism and Kabbalah in specifically, and you can feel this influence. They took it to a more philosophical side, and you can feel the spiritual philosophy in their like text, and it is pretty impressive because rap has this way of being very informative. Okay, it's very informative because you are not constrained into certain like melodies that you have to do, and you can be very informative with words, and that is a great way of getting through information and messages. And I had the privilege of coming into contact with several rappers who actually transfer through their lyrics very deep like ideas, very, very deep like emotions, very deep philosophical concepts, and several of those actually had their roots in the whole Kabbalah culture. Yeah, so that is pretty interesting because hip hop in general has this way of getting through information from whatever source you want, because it's very heavy on the lyrics. You can have a lot of lyrics and you can fit a lot of words into a 3-minute song, let's say, okay? And you can fit more words in hip-hop and rap than you can do in rock or pop.
Sure, you're talking like a mile a minute sometimes in a rap song. It's very fast. Well,
and it gives you the privilege to get over whatever message that you want with more lyrics and more words, and it gives you the freedom to really get your idea over.
I love that.
Ties into the song with Moria, in which I had a very deep message that I wanted to touch upon, and I did it in this song. And I think I can talk about it and elaborate after we listen to it.
Yeah, I agree with you. So you guys heard it here first on Talk Israel. So thank you, Mark Farber, for that very pointed question. But you heard it here first on Talk Israel on CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network. So without further ado, let's listen to Reflection.
אני אף פעם לא מרגיש כמו מישהו, תמיד יותר נמוך מהרוב, לא משנה מה עשיתי, אני אף פעם לא מספיק טוב, יחי המבקר העצמי, מתי גם אני אדע את הערך שלי, אין איך לברוח מזה, הבריון שלי חי בתוכי, מאפס ל100 באפס שניות, כשהאוזן שומעת השקט, הראש מחפש בעיות, בגלל זה אני רץ מדבר לדבר, מעביר את החיים בנסיעה, הלב לא בבית כרגע, מוזמן להשאיר הודעה, אני לא מחפש לי צרות, אבל רגע לבד ופתאום כמו קסם, עוד 5 נוצרות, מעמיס על עצמי ביקורות, וזה לא משנה מה תיתן לי, אף אחד לא יותר קשה איתי ממני, זה קטע דפוק, אני תמיד רק עסוק באותם הדברים שעוד אין לי.
ואם מחר כבר לא יהיה כאן, אם יהיה מי שיזכור, לאט לאט אני שוקע, והגלים שוטפים הכל, ואם מחר כבר לא יהיה כאן, אם משהו יישאר, כמו המים שקוראת לי לוותר.
זה השד הפנימי שלי, הוא יוצר גיהנום בנשמה. זה חישות שאתה שומע בגב של הראש, זה הקול ששובר את הדממה. הוא אומר,
נו, תמשיך לברוח להומור לבדיחות. אני לא שומע מישהו צוחק. וכל מה שיש לך לתת להם, אתה כלום מבפנים, אתה ריק. אתה לא ראוי לאהבה, ולמה אין לך באמת חברים. לכל מי שמסביבך לא אכפת ממך. אם הם אומרים לך הפוך הם שוקרים. כן זה כן, אז תשנא את האמת רק כי היא נכונה. כי היית לבד עד עכשיו ועדיין זה לא השתנה. עדיף לך ככה, בינינו, תצלול לבד, תאמץ את הבדידות. יש לך אותי, אתה לא צריך אף אחד. אני איתך עד היום שתמות. האמת רעיון לא רע. אולי תעשה לעולם טובה. בואו תסיים את זה כאן ועכשיו, כי נכון אתה חי, אבל אין לך למה.
ואם מחר כבר לא אהיה כאן, האם יהיה מי שיזכור? לאט לאט אני שוקע והגלים שוטפים הכל. ואם מחר כבר לא אהיה כאן, האם משהו יישאר? כמו השתקפות על פני המים שקוראת לי לוותר.
אני לא מספיק, לא. כל החיים יש בי חלק שכלום לא מספיק בשבילו. אני לא מספיק טוב, לא מספיק גבר, לא מספיק חד, לא מספיק סדר, לא מספיק חזק, לא מספיק יפה, לא מספיק כובש את החדר. סוף היום אני לא מספיק כלום. כל כך ממהר שבסוף אני אשכרה לא מספיק כלום. כל הספקות, כל השיפוט, כל הביקורת, כל זה טעות, כל זה מגיע ממני, בראש שלי זו המציאות. אני עוצר ושואל את עצמי לדקה, מה אם זה לא? מרים את הראש, מסתכל מסביב, כל אחד פה בחרה שלו. כי הכל הזה רק מחשבה, זה המוח יוצר לו יריב, ואני מעניק לו את הכוח בזה שאני בוחר להקשיב. אז גם אם תמיד יישאר בי החלק הזה, שהוא קצת ביקורתי, אני מקבל שזה חלק ממני, וזה כבר מספיק בשבילי.
I have to admit that I have heard the song many times because I've listened to you and to Moria. But every time I hear the song, like I just like I hear the pain in her voice and the pleading and the like, you know, she's desperately, you know, relaying and how you sound in this song is so different, you know, from the other songs. Yeah. You feel, and like you said, even though you're talking really fast and rapping is like a form of talking, you're not quite, you know, when you're singing, she's stretching out her words, but you know, you're still going fast and you're just like, oh, wow. I mean, it's very emotional.
It is.
Even without knowing the content.
Yeah, the song itself, it has a very unique concept because it's called Reflection, Ishtakfut, and it talks about, you know, it's from the B-side of the album, meaning it talks about an obstacle in our way.
Right.
And the obstacle, and each song inside B actually talks about a different obstacle that you have to get over, that you have to go through.
Of course.
If you want to achieve your goals. And this one, it talks about our self-criticism in a way that is unhealthy, not in the self-aware way that wants you to get better,
right? But
in this way that puts you down and always makes you feel bad about yourself. And the way we chose to do it is by having the entire second verse, like it's read by me, but with this effect on my voice, and it's it's the self-doubt talking like to me. You know, the entire second verse, the entire second verse of the song is my personal, you can say, like doubtful voice, my personal torment, or my inner voice that tells me that I'm not good enough.
Right.
That voice talking to me. And the last verse is me trying to overcome it. And Moria is doing just a terrific work with the chorus to this song. And, you know, the lyrics themselves, the lyrics to the chorus, it's Im machar kvar lo yeh po im yeh mi sheyizkor. translates to, if tomorrow I won't be here anymore, will there be anyone to remember?
Oh, God. And that's something that so many people in society struggle with, this inner doubt and you know, the amount of, especially young people. I feel like this song would be so amazing for young people to hear, because a lot of them are really struggling with self-harm, and suicide is higher than it's been in so many years. And this idea of like, oh, I'm not worth anything, and I'm not like these other people. It's so powerful, the message of this song.
Yes, I really identify with it, and it's something that's been very important for me to talk about in this album and generally in a song, because I personally feel that not only me, but a lot of people that I know, okay, but also me, we have this thing, this voice inside of ourselves that's always putting us down,
right?
That always makes us feel bad about what we're doing, that always makes us question ourselves, that feeling that you're never good enough, and you can't really succeed if you have that voice being so dominant within yourself. But you can't truly get rid of it because it is a part of who you are. And by hating this voice, you are hating a part of yourself. And the thing that I'm trying to preach in the last verse of the song is learning to accept that these thoughts, these voices, they are a part of who we are. And even though we don't like them, we need to learn to accept them as for what they are. They are a part of ourselves. And we need to learn to accept them and live alongside them, because you can't get rid of a part of yourselves. You can't do it, because then you won't be complete as a person.
Right.
But you can't let this part of yourself dictate to you how you live, because then you'll suffer.
Right.
And you'll spiral down. You have to find your balance in which you learn to live with these parts of yourself that are less
appealing. Yeah, and not beneficial. Yeah. Well, I have to say, you know, here on CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network, Talk Israel is here with you, Or Gorgi, and I don't know that if you had said to me, well, how you know, what do you think you guys are going to talk about? I did not think that we would be able to share so much knowledge here on the Knowledge Network, and I do think it is crucial, because you know, you do have to, like you said, you know, really live through your emotions instead of denying them. If you pretend that they're not there, right? You go to escape. It's not going to get you anywhere. You can't listen to them all the time and let them overtake you. But you do have to like acknowledge that there are, you know, different emotions, different aspects, different parts of our personality, different times in life where it's okay to feel a certain way. But know that, like, this too shall pass, right? Your highs are only high because you've had lows. And I think that this idea of the reality of the balance in life is so beautifully portrayed on this album. But I kind of want to, on that note, I'd like to finish up our time, and then I have a special treat for the listeners at the end of our show, kind of on a high note with you. Now, there is a song that is on this album that I did play on Talk Israel's first episode a few weeks ago. When
I know which one.
Okay, I'm glad. Well, I hope you know. You wrote it. But
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So I liked it so much. And I think the first time I heard it, I think it was that day at the Bolo rehearsal that we were sitting and talking. I think it was you and I and Ellie and maybe Oh So Beautiful Soma. I mean, I feel like we haven't talked about his looks in so long. I mean, it's been like, you know, an hour. We haven't told everyone how beautiful he is. And I do mean that genuinely, guys. Like, it's really funny. I swear they all of the other rappers say this about him. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, you're from the U.S. I have a song called Home Run. And I started laughing at you like, yeah, right. And you're like, no, really, because, and so you started like selling it to me. And then you got up on stage and performed it. And I actually think this is on that live. And I believe you jump into the picture and you're like, this is the one. And I'm like, and I just kind of like look back at like, yeah, guys, that was for real. Clearly not, I did not know you were going to do that. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool and so catchy. And so I played it for Peter Kurz, the general manager of Team Israel. And he's like, love it. And I know that you guys are getting in contact about performing it because I want to drop yet another piece of knowledge here on the CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network, on Talk Israel. There is indeed Israel. In Israel, there is baseball. There is baseball. Even though I keep saying this to all the Israelis, they're like, baseball? What is this baseball? I don't do your accent very well. But anyway, I'm like, no, there's baseball. And not for nothing, they held their own in the World Baseball Classic. They were put into the death pool. They still held their own. They qualified for the 2026 World Baseball Classic. So, how about them apples? See, I used your expression there. And on top of it, Israel is hosting the European Classic in 2025, which is going to be huge. And I'm really excited about it. So, I'm happy to talk about baseball in Israel anytime, but I think there's no better way to kind of wrap up our time with you than to have this song come on and have you, tell everyone a little bit about it. So I'm going to play it now, and then I'll let you go ahead and, tell everyone all they need to know about Home Run.
Hit it.
Oh, that was funny. Hit it. I'll take a swing at it.
הום רן, מי מוכן לתת את המכה בכל זמן? אני חיכיתי בנחת, אני קראתי את התחת, מוציא את הכדור מהמגרש. הום רן, מי מוכן לתת את המכה בכל זמן? אני חיכיתי בנחת, אני קראתי את התחת, מוציא את הכדור מהמגרש. הזדמנויות לא מגיעות פעמיים, בוא נוותר על השריקת פתיחה. אנשים כבר כותבים את הפרקים של הסיפור שלהם, אני עדיין מעצב כריכה, אני לא ממהר לקטלג את עצמי, שואף גבוה לפעמים אני הורג את עצמי, אבל תראה שיהיה ביום יפה עולם כזה שבו אני עולה על ביט ומענג את עצמי. מילים טסות בקצב סופרסוני גם עם קילו ריטלין, אתה לא מרוכז כמוני, זה נראה לי פואטי, הם אומנים בספגטי כי לידי הם ברמה של ציורי מקרוני, אז מכאן אל הבנק בא עם טנק ומסור ענק, בא לי ג'אנק פוד על הרב כי זה צ'יפ, דוחף להם פתקים כי אני קוטל אותם, אז תגיד לי אתה מיידי. הום רן, מי מוכן לתת את המכה בכל זמן? אני חיכיתי בנחת, אני קראתי את התחת, מוציא את הכדור מהמגרש. הום רן, מי מוכן לתת את המכה בכל זמן? אני חיכיתי בנחת, אני קראתי את התחת, מוציא את הכדור מהמגרש. הנה הרגע מגיע, תשים הביט ליציע, 12 רמות מעל מה שהכי טוב הציע, באים המלל הבועט, משאיר את המיקרופון לועט, אני מרים את העט, חודר להם לראש כמוקליה, מתחילים להזיע, אז עד כאן, נותן פן, שורף תם, תם איתחם, זה well done. יושב על המלל ומסובב את הטמבל שמסרב לקבל את זה שהוא מת כבר. זה ברור שאני בא מפתח תקווה. לידי את הרמת גן, ממאית השנייה שהיא המלחץ על הפליי, לא נשאר לך הרבה זמן. אני עושה כאן היסטוריה, אתה זמר בתיאוריה, תן כבוד כמו ליורם, גאון על הטרק, אז תביא את המחבט כי מה שג'ורג'י בא לתת, יפלקו להם את הראש מחוץ לפארק. הום רן, מי מוכן לתת את המכה בכל זמן? אני חיכיתי בנחת, אני קראתי את התחת, מוציא את הכדור מהמגרש. הום רן, מי מוכן לתת את המכה בכל זמן? אני חיכיתי בנחת, אני קראתי את התחת, מוציא את הכדור מהמגרש. הום רן, מי מוכן לתת את המכה בכל זמן? אני חיכיתי בנחת, אני קראתי את התחת, מוציא את הכדור מהמגרש. הום רן, מי מוכן לתת את המכה בכל זמן? אני חיכיתי בנחת, אני קראתי את התחת, מוציא את הכדור מהמגרש.
I love that you added the little announcer part at the end, but I should have had that song on yesterday because my son went to go practice his swing, and we started talking about this because my son is a baseball player, and the machines weren't working, and he said, "Mom, can you do soft toss to me?" And I was like, "Oh dear God, no. Because he's very strong and hits the ball very, very hard. And I have, a love of life and don't want to be injured or smacked in the face by a baseball. So I could have been playing that song, but I think if someone had recorded me doing this, it would make it to the show. I don't know if they have an equivalent in Israel, but it's called like America's Funniest Home Videos, because I would toss the ball and crouch so quickly behind it's called an L screen, and literally crunch all the way down to the ground that I ended up doing squats for like a half an hour, because I would just toss the ball and then squat. And maybe my son was listening to your song, because at one point he actually hit the L screen and I just looked at him like, I will hurt you. My heart was racing. I was sweating. I felt like I was pitching in a major league game because I was terrified. I was so scared. Well, yeah, I know. And hopefully, B'ezrat Hashem, when he's in Israel, I know he's going to be there with a program. Maybe he'll have free time and he can meet you. But tell us about Home Run and why you wrote it and why you chose to write about the best sport ever, baseball. I just upset a lot of people in other countries. Sorry.
I'm sure you did. Well, this song talks about, like, it's the song that sums up side A, and it's right before you get into side B. And it's this pinnacle of this victorious sensation. You know what I mean? When you feel like you're at the top of your game, and it's there to sum up everything that you've been through with side A. This whole wanting to achieve, and this whole movement theme, and this energetic vibe, and it's there to sum it up as this way of saying you need to know to celebrate your achievements. You need to know to celebrate your victories. And this song does exactly that. That song, it's a big flex, you know what I mean? It's saying that I can knock things out of the park at any time because I've worked hard for the privilege to do so, you know?
Lama Lo. Why not, everybody? Acknowledge
you need to give yourself some props, you know?
Right.
And in hip-hop, it's nothing new. Rappers have been doing that for a long time. And the way that you hype yourself up. But I chose to go with baseball, which is the most popular sport in Israel currently is soccer, is football.
Well, for now, but I'm going to try to do everything I can to make it baseball. And so, if you're listening with Team Israel, or you guys want to know more about Team Israel, because Or is a big Team Israel fan, and I know you're going to be doing something with them soon, but we can't quite talk about it yet because we're a little too far away. But, I mean, it's an amazing sport. It's a thinking sport, and I love that you're saying you have to acknowledge your victories, because there is so much thought and there's planning, and just as you have to acknowledge your lows so you can get over them, you should stop and enjoy these victories because you deserve it, dagnabbit.
Definitely. And I chose to go with this home run metaphor for this song, with knocking things out of the park, because it's such a definitive metaphor for winning.
There's a sound.
You know what I mean?
There's a sound to when a home run is hit. You know it. That crack of the bat. There is nothing in this world like it.
Throughout the entire song, we actually sampled that sound.
I love it.
You can hear it as a part of the beat. You can hear it.
Yes. And so tell us, did it hype you up when you were in the studio and you would hear that little, that crack of the bat?
Definitely, because it gets over this idea of winning in such a total way.
Oh, yeah. People stand up the minute they hear that sound at a ballpark because everyone wants to see it sail out of the park or into the bleachers or, whatever the case may be, out of the, outfield. It's like time stops for a second.
One swing.
Exactly. It only takes one.
It's one
Rock echad for everybody. Only one. Rock echad.
And doing this one swing gives you such it's sort of it's a small victory.
Yeah.
It's a small victory.
But an important one. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I hope our listeners
I took this as a personal metaphor of doing, like, if you give something your best shot, then you win.
Yeah.
Then it's your victory.
Right.
And you can score a whole run at every turn.
Every time you're up at the plate, you have this potential to hit a home run. And
same thing about shows.
Yeah.
Same thing about songs.
Yeah.
Same thing about radio interviews. You need to knock it out of the park every time.
Or, that was amazing. You know what I'm going to give you for that, Or? Imale! I've been dying to try to use that expression. I really can't get it, but I think that might have been a good time.
Yeah, that was a good fit.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm trying to work in that into my vocabulary. I can't quite get it. One of the other terms that, and I always like to drop knowledge because we are on CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network. Here on Talk Israel, we like to drop some knowledge. When you're frustrated, like you said, everything in Israel is sometimes very extreme. There's two ways of telling people, like, enough or stop, like, masik, like, enough, okay, right? That's when the kid's like, ma, 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 ma. But then when it's been like, ma, 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 too many times, like, you might hear someone yell, die. And someone who speaks English as their, native language, I'm like, I can't yell that. I just can't say that because I know if I'm speaking Hebrew, I'm not physically, literally telling someone to die. Like, I hope you die. I hope you stop living. No, it's like, die, enough. Like, that's it. I've had it. I'm at the end of my rope. And it's such a funny expression that I can't get over. Aval, or I cannot believe that we have gone through an entire show and I have not said the word aval like 10 times because my listeners know that is my favorite word.
Well, you just did.
I know. So I would like to, kind of finish with you, and we're going to leave the listeners with a couple things towards the end of our program. But I'm just hoping, since you knocked it out of the park, if you wouldn't mind just taking one more turnaround in the batter's box, because in a baseball game there are 9 innings, and you potentially could hit more than one home run. Can you?
Hit me.
Well, I won't hit you because then you get a free base. But I will hit you this ball straight over the plate. I believe that I have heard whispers amongst some of the people that you work with in the music industry that you might indeed have a second album coming soon.
Yeah.
Can you confirm this here on Talk Israel on CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network, that you are indeed coming out with some new music? And please tell me it's soon.
Second album is in the works. It's gonna be high on the concept like the first one. Different concept though, and hopefully, because you know how these things go, and it's not totally up to me, but hopefully we will release the second album by this summer.
Okay. Well, if you want, I just think it would be a great idea because I know that Talk Israel would be more than happy to cover that live when I'm in Israel. Would you be willing to come on the program and go ahead and drop that date when it's coming?
Definitely.
All right, guys.
I don't even know it because there's a lot of work to be done, but
they heard it here first. All right, so get to work already, Or, because we at Talk Israel are waiting for this album to drop. Now, we started the program off with talking about how funny you were, and I thought it would be only perfect to wrap up the program. I'm going to put a little song on in the background, and we're going to have a little conversation. So, Or, this is an opportunity for our listeners to hear how funny you are, because you are quite the gezer. which is another word to say man in Hebrew. But I do like to call myself the top Isha. And I just feel like this song is just all about fun and how everyone is. And speaking of fun people, I have to give a quick shout out to a very good friend of mine, Kobe, who is listening either from Israel or possibly from New Jersey, because I believe he was going to be with his family for Passover. But he is a wonderful friend who volunteers with the ambulance program, which we are going to talk about on another Talk Israel program. But I just want to share this with people because I am an Isha. I am a woman. And you know what? I'm wondering, Eifo hagever sheli, right? I need to find... And I feel like I have probably opened this way too wide for you to step right into, and very possibly, in addition to being funny, make fun of me. But for my listeners, ani yodat hu ba'aretz. I know that my future, my man here is in Israel. Ani yodat. Gam ani mevina. I understand. It's not the right time at the moment. That's okay. That will come. But Or, if I think I find him, I might put you on the mission of doing like the, getting the info, making sure. No. We did not say that. We did not say that here on Talk Israel. No. We are not kidnapping anyone. No. I mean, listen, if you kidnap him and interrogate him.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Well, we definitely, no one has been harmed. No, I feel like with the disclosure, no animals have been harmed in the process of making this show. No one is going to be kidnapped. No, not at all. I mean, what Or did or didn't do in the Army, maybe he was an interrogation specialist. I don't know. He's very clearly good with talking. I mean, maybe he also has skills of his talking is very scary and intimidating. I don't know. Maybe you have a sidekick, a partner in crime that you're going to interrogate with. I don't know. I mean, listen, sometimes, there's just, you're better off in the land of ignorance. And I think I'm going to live in that land as far as, knowing what's going on with that. But, Eifo hagever sheli. Where are you, sir? I would like to meet you. But I am so happy that you joined us. I am even happier to hear this album is coming out. But I'm the most happy that in addition to, I really feel like hitting a home run with this music, or on the whole entire album of Momentum, that we are going to be able to speak to you. And we don't have to wait till the summer here at Talk Israel to talk to you again. But we will be talking to you this summer live and hopefully doing some sort of launch party. That would be super fun. But before we kind of, go out, I'm just wondering, or is there anything else that you want to make sure people know about you, that you felt like you didn't get across? You've been holding on to some joke the whole time we've been talking, just waiting for the right time. I don't want to take your funny away from you. I mean, you are kind of the king of dad jokes without being a dad.
Oh, come on. That's just too kind. I'm happy to hear what's on your mind.
You've been hanging on to that one for a while, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely was. For whoever wants to find me and whatever I'm up to, you can find me on Instagram. I'm very, very active there. On the Or Gorgi, that's OR_GORGI.
Mm-hmm.
And every song you heard today is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, and wherever you can find music streaming. It's been fun, Anya.
Yes, and you guys can search up his music in both English and in Hebrew, and if you are getting stuck trying to figure out what the name of anything is, you guys can hit me up directly, Anya_think_differently on Instagram, Anya Farber on Facebook, also on CRS Radio Talk Israel on Facebook group. because I am happy if you don't have a Hebrew keyboard to type something in for you and send it to you so you can copy and paste it. If you want to search for something, though, you can find them in English, though I don't think all of the songs are necessarily translated. Or maybe we can have you put up a list of the translated names for the songs in case they're trying to find them. But, please, follow Or on Instagram. His stories are hilarious. Even if you don't understand what he's saying, his facial expressions on his stories are worth the watch, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, because Or you are like one of the most transparent people in your story process. So I have to say, please keep that up, because I personally find it very entertaining. So please enjoy a lot, and Passover Sameach, Chag Sameach to you and your family and all of your friends. Please tell all the Bola people I said hey, and of course, I think we've gone another 15 minutes without talking about how beautiful, beautiful Soma is. And I feel like, people are going to definitely start looking up Soma on Instagram and trying to figure out who this guy is who's so beautiful. But, and hit Or up, and he might tell you all about him and Soma's bromance. It's possible. So thank you so much. And I am going to be sharing with our listeners more stuff about you and more exciting stuff that we have, lined up on Talk Israel.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Great. So thank you so much. So here on Talk Israel on CRS Radio, the Talk Network, I do want to officially very, very, very much thank Or for joining us. And I want to let you guys know next week I'm so excited to have this information to share with you. Next week, I'm going to be speaking with Ilana Fish, and she is amazing. She's an amazing Isha tova ma'od. She is an amazing woman, and she is going to be joining me on the new show that we have. And it is called Zionistas, and it will be debuting after Passover. And I could not be more excited about it, because it is going to be all about Israeli fashion. Every aspect of fashion, every single aspect. We're going to be talking about shoes. We're going to be talking about jewelry, because we know that I cannot possibly not talk about Israeli silver, because I love it, and I literally am always adorned in it. We're going to be talking about clothes, head coverings, hats, the origin of things that have been started in Israel, and our show, Zionistas, where we talk everything about Israeli fashion, will indeed debut Passover. And we will be welcoming designers and all sorts of people involved in the fashion industry. We're going to be bringing you history. We're going to be talking about crossover. We're going to be talking about so much stuff, and you are going to have just an amazing time. And that show is going to be on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I just can't wait, because it's going to be so much fun. And we're just going to have a great time. And we will put tons of pictures up. And we are going to hear all this amazing thing about anything and everything fashion. So Ilana is amazing. She has so much info. And her and I are just going to talk with you guys and share with you and do all of the fun things that, we can do in Israel. And we'll talk about shopping, because I love to go shopping in Israel. It is so much fun. And, it'll just be all those good things. So that is coming up. Talk Israel will be coming to you again next Monday at our new time of 3 p.m. here on CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network. And I want to just leave you with a few good thoughts. I'm very excited about what's going on. And Passover is our holiday that is starting very soon. And Passover is a time of, reflection, and, you're with your family and friends and sitting around and really kind of acknowledging the tribulations and some of the painful moments that the Jews have endured. And it's the journey where we end in Israel. And I think that there's not a more beautiful way to think about that than, to just really take a moment and just think about all the things that we have to go through, and sometimes how life can be very painful. And Or spoke about that so beautifully with us today. And I just want to leave you with one of my other favorite artists, Mr. Nissim Black, and the song Motherland Bounce, all about the beautiful, beautiful motherland of Israel.
This place is a dope. We are royalty. We must go back to our place in Kiswana.
Those of you who are fans of Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, this part of the song is a little proof on that. In his video, it is absolutely hilarious. So you guys, check that out. Nissim Black, Motherland Bounce.
Yeah, here we go. For the motherland. Yeah, we gon' play it loud until they feel it, yeah, we gon' blow the roof off the building, yeah, we gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. We Baba, Black and Yiddish, I've been with a Sammy Davis cousin. Tried to dodge the industry, but now my name is buzzing. They all saying that I'm conscious, I say that it's nonsense. So I say I've been on since on, had an on switch from Seattle, the rainy city where my mom lived, in Jerusalem, the golden city that was conquered. But still we moving onward, motherland conquest, smell me like an armpit. Yeah, we gon' play it loud until they feel it, yeah, we gon' blow the roof off the building, yeah, we gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. We Baba, my mama told me that I read good, been on my straight and narrow, but my history is Z-hood. Thank God today that we could buy a box of Cheerios or Kicks. I can even buy tricks. I'm no longer on WIC. EBT card ripped in my passport lip, sent like a notary from every country that I went. Ain't a country like this from the others you've been sent. Black is beautiful. This gon' be the motherland hit. Yeah, we gon' play it loud until they feel it. Yeah, we gon' blow the roof off the building. Yeah, we gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. We Baba. Yeah, bounce. Yeah, bounce. We bounce. Yeah. He said it's God's plan, but I'm God's man. Yeah, I used to run with BGD. Yeah, I dropped the B and put an O after the G. Yeah. 6 points, still big up King D. In the synagogue, camouflage, but I can't wipe the skin off. I'm proud of it, it's loud a bit, but I'm not trying to crisscross. I done made it this far, hold it all in my heart. I hold my breath and brace myself when they take their socks off. Ain't no monkey business, cause ain't no monkeys in here. I know what you've been thinking, the black Abe Lincoln. Just wanted you to be aware. Signing off as Mr. Black, Hitler's worst nightmare, yeah. We gon' play it loud until they feel it, yeah. We gon' blow the roof off the building, yeah. We gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. We Baba. We gon' play it loud until they feel it, yeah. We gon' blow the roof off the building, yeah. We gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland.
So you guys, I'm gonna bounce right out of here. Thank you, Mr. Nissim Black, for helping us end the program. As always, CRS Radio, the Knowledge Network, Talk Israel here with Anya Farber. Next week at 3 p.m., don't forget our new program, Zionistas, with my beautiful partner, Alana, Sundays at 1. And stay tuned, 8 p.m. tonight on the chat reel, talking to a descendant of Harriet Tubman. I'm going to be listening in. So Knowledge Network, CRS Radio, we are dropping knowledge all the time. Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful rest of your week, and Chag Sameach, everyone. Lehitraot, Chavarim.